All right, welcome to MMP Music Mentorship Program. This is part 2 of a video on mastering. A little disclaimer, I don't typically master all of my stuff. I love to have somebody else master. So as I'm talking about these more advanced techniques, I use these techniques on the stuff that I sometimes want to save money and it's not a big project. It's not an actual album or something like that. It's just a single song I'm wanting to release. And so I will master sometimes my own stuff. However, I think there is a huge value to having a professional master do my stuff for several reasons. One is they have equipment and speakers and rooms that are far better than mine, and their experience is also far better than mine. So when possible, of course, I use a mastering engineer. However, it comes in really handy when you have the tools, the plugins, and the ability to do it yourself. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I do, and hopefully it can kind of get you started if you are in the same place where there are times you just need to master your stuff. So if you haven't watched my beginning video, take a look at that. This is part 2, kind of getting into the depth of things a little bit more. Again, this is using the same song. One of my students, Ashlyn, has recorded a song. She's done a great job with it, and we're just going to finish it off by doing some mastering on it. So one of the first things I want to try in my chain here is by Bob Katz. One of Bob Katz's things is really just finding depth and getting things to just have more dimension. And so he has this plugin here called the K Stereo that I'm just going to see what it does and see if it opens things up a little bit more. So let's go from here maybe.
Oh, my friend, 5-hour drive ahead. It should take 4, but the whole freaking world.
Let's try this section over here.
Are you okay there? Riding out the days, waiting on a change to come through.
Okay, I like the way it's bringing out some of the reverb a little bit, some of the depth, but I don't like what it's doing to the center, so I'm going to take that wide off. And before I do too much more, I'm going to get this song louder. I like the way L2 sounds, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to bring this threshold down. I'm at minus 0.1 on the ceiling. Let's see if we can get this hitting a dB or 2. Okay, now that it's a little louder, it's going to bring out a little more of what this thing's doing. So let's bypass it and then see what happens when we kick it in.
Are you okay there? Riding out the days, waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there?
So the important thing here is that I am not using my eyes but my ears. So I'm going to toggle this back and forth. This is my famous little trick, which is blind testing by clicking this as many times as I can without knowing how many times I've clicked it. So like that, and I'm not looking. So I don't know if it's on or off, and I'm going to hit play and then toggle back and forth as I'm not looking.
Are you okay there? Riding out the days, waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there?
Okay, in this case, what I like about when it's bypassed, which I didn't know until just now, is it has a little more weight and center. So I don't like what this case stereo is going to do. Going to get rid of it. And now it's time to try out some compressors, and sometimes I use more than one. But what I want to do is just generally see what they're all doing. And each one has a different flavor to it, so let's just start with this. And actually, I already know I want to have this on. So even before I do that compressor, let's do this. We're running out of like screen real estate here. But let's go ahead and boost some of these lows before we get compressor going.
Are you okay there? Riding out the day, waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there? Ignoring all the pain, looking for the strength to push through. No change can.
I like that. By the way, I usually keep up stuff that I need to see meters with. So like an EQ, I don't really need to see the meters as much. But the other stuff I usually have on a different screen so that I can always look and see when the meters are hitting too hard possibly. So I do use my eyes for meters. I do think it's important to know how many dB I'm hitting. So let's get a little of this in there. And actually, I'm going to literally turn all of the actual levels of these down. Okay, so everything's off. Check this out. Let's go back to that same section. I'm going to do the blind test. And here we go.
Are you okay there? Riding out the day, waiting on a change to come through. Can you find?
Interestingly, I think I like that better off as well, but I'm going to do it one more time to double check myself. And I'm going to change the level. So sometimes if it's louder or quieter, that changes my perspective. So let's turn it up. It's not going to turn up for you, so you're going to have to turn up your speakers. I'm turning up my speakers, and I'm going to do the test again.
Are you okay there? Riding out the day, waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there?
Okay, so interestingly, that time I liked it when it was on. It's giving me, I don't know, dimension or something like that. So, yeah, we'll see. We can go either way on that one, but I did like that. So, let's go back now to some compressors. Let's check out Verymoo, see what he's doing. Slow. Where is it? Attack. Slow attack. Fast release. Here's my threshold. Sidechain input. This is terrific. Basically what this means is if the kick drum is kind of making the compressor set off too quickly, then I can put this high pass filter in. It's not putting a high pass filter on the actual EQ. It's only putting it on the input to the compressor. So that means that it's not letting the kick drum kind of upset this compressor too much. It's doing all the other frequencies a little bit more. So let's bring this in.
Are you okay there?
Let's get to a louder part of the song, which is over here. Check out the middle of the song.
Onward, should it or should be? Should be.
Man, that thing is bringing in so much depth, a lot of weight. I love the way that feels. I think that's going to be good for the song. But I want you to check out these other ones too, just to see what they're doing. And maybe they'll work just as well, if not maybe better. So recovery is going to be quick. 1 to 5 here. Slow attack. Wait, that's for the compressor. I mean the limiter. Slow attack, fast release. Okay, so now let's see how this one's.
Onward, shouldn't or shouldn't be, should be. It's now or never.
Love the warmth on this thing. So the cool thing about this too is if it's too much, they just came out with this in the new update. It's a dry wet knob. So if I turn that all the way down, it's not actually going through the compressor, but I can actually mix that in. That's a big deal because I love the way this compressor sounds, has so much warmth to it, but I want to mix in some of that dry sound as well. So let's see if we can sometimes maybe compress it a little more, but then back off on the wetness, and then you get the best of both worlds. Like you get to eat your cake and have it too. Have your cake and eat it too. Sorry, I don't know how it works. Okay, so I want you to really hear the difference between these two. I'll make it more obvious. I'll just do this type of thing. Wait, what are we doing here? No, this is not the germanium. This is the Varimu. Okay, so we want to listen to the comparison between these two. Listen to the lows and the depth and the tubiness that comes from this manly, and then listen to the warmth and the mids that come from this Neve. Here we go. They couldn't be more different, but both of them have something that is just so fantastic. So I might end up using both of them. I'm just trying to maybe kind of display like why it matters so much. It's not even the compression that I'm like really caring about so much as the color that it's giving me. So let's try one more. Let's try this germanium.
Ignoring all the pain, looking for the strength to push through.
As you could see, I wanted to make sure we had a fair fight. So when I'm bypassing this, my output level is compensating for some of the compression. So I made sure that my perception is that the volumes are the same. So one thing you'll notice that sounds different on this one that I love is when I unlink these channels. Basically what happens is each channel is operating separately, and what you can get with that sometimes is depth. There are lots of plugins that do that. One of them would be the API 2500. You can switch the percentage of link actually on that one, which is great. You'll notice that you kind of get a wider spectrum when those link channels are unlinked. So listen to the difference. See, they're unlinked now, and I'll bypass this and bring it back in.
To come through, can you find peace there, ignoring all the pain?
So that would be fantastic for like a pop song or something like that. But in this case, I just really love the mellowness of this song, and I want it to feel a little bit more like it's playing off of a record or something. So I don't want this kind of like hyped wide type thing. So I do want to use the channel link, and that way I get more center. So let's see what happens there.
To come through, can you find peace there, ignoring all the pain?
Not sure if it's a little bit low. Let's turn that up and see. Closing my eyes.
To come through, can you find peace there, ignoring all the pain?
I do like what that's doing. I don't know if I like it as much as these other ones, but that's pretty nice. Moving right along in my signal path, I'm going to get some tape on there. This one's called Satin.
To come through, can you find peace there, ignoring all the pain?
Whew, that's nice. I stole this setting from Chad Blake, mixed with the masters. You might want to check this out if you want to look at this plugin. I think I stole it, the exact settings other than input and output, and I adjust that. And I also tend to adjust this. Other than that, I don't touch it because I love the settings that he ended up with. But this compander is basically an EQ that compensates for the tape, and I love kind of being able to shape the amount of mix of this.
To come through, can you find peace there, ignoring all the pain?
Okay, lastly, sometimes I put another tape on there, and that is this ATR. So these are your golden knobs right here, is all these little high frequency, low frequency tweaks. I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but yeah, once you kind of find a tape that you like in the presets or something like that, that's when you can start messing with this stuff and do some magical things. But let's see what this does to the mix.
To come through, can you find peace there, ignoring all the pain?
I'm not going to touch it because that just did it for me. I love the way that sounds. I'm looking at my meters here to make sure that it's not, going crazy. It can hit, depending on the song, it can hit red and it's lovely. But in this case, I want it to remain mellow and dynamic, so I'm not going to go crazy with that. Let's leave that on. And now that we have the tape, we can go back to these and maybe just decide what we want to do. So let's go to the beginning.
Is on the road again.
Man, I love the way that Verimousse sounds. I'm going to try this. I'm going to put it through a little bit of the Neve and then through the Verimousse. So like I said before, I get the opportunity now to just start with nothing and then put in a little bit of the Neve.
Is on the road again.
I mean, that's just fantastic. Just a tiny bit, like I'm getting some mids from just bringing that in. So that's cool. Here's my EQ. I don't know. Let's try this curve bender. And so far, like I'm not doing any EQ. I'm just looking for the quality of sound. You'll hear what this curve bender does to things, even when it's not on.
Are you okay there? Writing out the days, waiting on a change to come.
I don't necessarily love what that's doing to it. It's hyping things up a little bit, getting some harmonic distortion. I don't necessarily want that. I want more richness, warmth, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go with what we've got and maybe start EQing a little bit. Let's see. I noticed some frequencies that I kind of want to possibly cut. There was some in here, this area. Let's just use Fab Filter for that. Q3. And I'm going to use zero latency for this video, but sometimes you can use a linear phase, which is typically good for mastering. But to be honest, I don't use linear phase hardly ever. I just stick with this. But let's see if we can find some of that low rumble. I mean, we're just peaking out so much here that I think I might need to do this for the sake of being able to find that frequency, because we're just hitting the limiter so hard. Let's try this. Yeah, I remember this frequency from the last video I made, the beginner's version of this. So let's see if we can get rid of a little bit of that. I would definitely automate that if I had time, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to.
Waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there? Ignoring all the pain, looking for the strength to push.
Okay, adding a little width there, and then I'm also cutting 30 and below, and then I'm using my mono maker to get the center here. Everything 90 and below is going to be in the center.
Waiting on a change to come through. Can you?
Oops, let's go back to my EQ. I'm like, why is it so quiet? Well, because I turned it down. Going back to that. Okay, it's going to be loud again.
Waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there? Ignoring all the pain, looking for the strength to push through. No change.
So I kind of want to hear some more mids in the sides, like where the guitars are. I want to bring those out a little bit, so I can do that here with just the sides.
Waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there? Ignoring all the pain, looking for the strength to push through. No change can make a bad thing good. Don't dwell on what should.
And then I'm going to take out some of that over here in the center that's kind of getting a little cluttered.
Waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there? Ignoring all the pain, looking for the strength to push through. No change can make a.
But now there's a part of the vocal that I want to bring out, maybe here.
Waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there? Ignoring all the pain, looking for the strength to push through. No change can make a bad thing good. Don't dwell on what shouldn't or should be. Should.
So notice that I did set my levels here in the beginning by getting this L2 going, but then now that I've done all this craziness, it's gotten carried away, and now I have to back off quite a bit on that. Want to show you one more thing here, and that's well, two things actually. Here's the Better Maker. This is a pull tech, basically doing the same function as the pull tech, As you can see, the settings look exactly the same, except like more modernized, but they do the same thing. So if I'm doing this, it's pretty much the same. And I kind of want to compare these, see which one I might like better.
Waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there? Ignoring all the pain.
Yeah, this one's much more of a modern version. This one has a lot more warmth, so I'm gonna go with that one there. Last plugin is it's called Oxford. I have like a love-hate relationship with this one. Sometimes it does great, other times it's not so great. So let's put this on and see what happens.
Waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there? Ignoring all the pain.
Okay, I definitely want to do the blind test, and I also want to do it in different sections. So like maybe let's just take this section here, blind test it. I like that when it's on. Let's check out the first verse.
It should take four, but the whole freaking world is on the road again.
I like that one when it's bypassed. It feels warmer. Sometimes this can get a little hyped, and I'll show you on the second verse what happens. I'll turn this curve up.
You okay there? Riding out the days, waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there?
This thing's freaking awesome when you want a little more like almost like an exciter type thing. It just feels, well, inflated. But in this case, I don't like what it's doing. So I'm gonna get rid of that. So these are all the EQs that I'm not using. So let me show you one thing that comes in really handy. Say that you're trying to compare, you know, this Verimu with this Neve. Well, sometimes what I do is I literally duplicate the entire track like this. Everything is duplicated, so it's exactly the same. It's going to take a second because it's, oh, yeah, because it's going to load everything. Okay, no, it's duplicated it. So what I have over here, if I can see them, yeah, this is both of them, is I'm going to mute one or the other, right? I don't want them both playing at the same time. That'd be nuts. But say I want to compare, and what I'll do is I'll turn this one off, turn this one off. So now on this channel is the Neve, and I'll turn this at 100% wet. And on this channel is the Verimu. So if I want to compare them blind, I can mark both of them like this, and then Shift M is going to toggle. See that red or orange going back and forth? It's toggling between the two. Now I'm going to blind test and see which one I like better.
You okay there? Riding out the days, waiting on a change to come through. Can you find peace there?
All right, well, yeah, that shows me, you know, which one sounds a little warmer, which one has a little more depth to it, going back and forth. And I'm blind the whole time until I open my eyes and I can see that I really did like this one here. And so maybe I made the mistake of putting it, maybe it was too dry. Maybe I need to bring that back up a little. I don't know. I like where we ended up before, though, when we had both of them on. So who knows? Well, we could just do this. We'll bypass this. We'll bring this back on. Okay, now we're back to where we were before, except all we're doing is comparing with all of both of these off, and this one is with shoot, I shouldn't turn that off. This is with it at 100%. Okay, so now all we're comparing, if I turn that one back on, is channel. The first channel has what, I don't know, some what percent are we at here on that one? Yeah, it only looks like 20% or something. So let's compare the between these two.
You okay there, writing out the days, waiting on a change to come through.
I definitely like it more with that other one on. So anyway, that was helpful. I'm glad we did that little lesson to kind of figure out that we actually like that at 100%. And now from here, I would just go through the song, see how it's feeling, see how the dynamics are feeling. But it was kind of fun just to go through a bunch of plugins and then the signal flow. And do I put the compressor before the EQ or after the EQ? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Do I put the tape after or before? But the trick is here is like, do it on a different channel. Don't just ruin what you've done. If you want to compare it, do it on a different channel, and then that way you can go back and forth and compare them. So if anything I have to offer you that I don't see a lot of people doing, because obviously there's a million tutorials out there on how to master and all these guys that are well established as mastering dudes. But the one thing that I have to teach you guys that I don't see a whole lot of is the blind testing here, going back and forth and trying to see what we like more. All right, guys. Well, I hope this has been helpful. I want to make sure that it is understood that this video is really not about specific plugins. I did explore a lot of the plugins that I've ended up with that work for me, but really what it's about is being able to unbiased explore, and to be able to, whether the plugin costs you, $500 or it costs you free, to be able to kind of blind test them, mess around with the order of the plugins, mess around with what you do with the plugins, just have fun with it. So hopefully you seeing my kind of, in this example, exploring has been helpful, because the last thing that you want to do is go, oh, he did this on that song, and then copy that on another song, because the things I did were specifically geared towards what I was hearing in this song. And it was also geared towards what I was hearing in my head as I was listening to this specific song, saying, well, I want it to feel this way and this way and this way. What do I need to do to get there? So every time's different, but hopefully this kind of showed you how I approach that, how the signal flow works, and enables you to go out there and explore different plugins and explore what you have. And of course, when you've got all your plugins like Logic, when this gives you the opportunity to do that, for those of you guys who are in Logic, which is like more than half my class usually, then you've got all of these different options here: digital, VCA, FET, VCA classic, vintage, VCA. I don't know how these sound because I'm not a Logic person, but I'm sure that if you scroll through them, they will treat your song differently, just the same way I scrolled through a bunch of my plugins. So I would definitely take advantage of this video in showing you how to explore those different arenas. So hope you have fun with that. So I'm going to do one more video, and this next video is going to cover high frequency, harmonics, multiband, and other high frequency boosting type issues. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next video.